The slot machine siren cuts through the casino floor at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. Triple diamonds aligned, lights flashing. 2,247,800 in bold red numbers. Margaret Chen's hands shake as she stares at the screen, her late husband's dog tags cold against her chest. She'd come with grocery money, $50 she couldn't really spare, to honor what would have been Robert's 73rd birthday, their tradition, their lucky machine. Within 8 minutes, the celebration ends. Casino management doesn't arrive with champagne or oversized checks. They arrive with security, sympathetic smiles, and a windowless office on the second floor. The word they use is malfunction. Software error, void win, standard protocol. They offer her $500 for her trouble. Then $2,500. She asks for documentation. They tell her it's proprietary. In the parking lot afterward, Margaret photographs her exit ticket. The business cards pressed into her hand. The machine number she's memorized. She's 71 years old, recently widowed, and for the first time in her carefully polite life, she's not apologizing. She's furious. That's when Blake Garrison finds her, a casino floor supervisor who's watched this pattern before. 3 elderly winners in 5 years, 3 voided jackpots, 3 quiet settlements. He risks his job by offering help, driven by 9 years of sobriety and a debt he spent too long avoiding, making amends to people he watched the system crush. Have you ever stood up for something when everyone told you to let it go? When fighting back felt impossible, but walking away felt worse? Stay with us to discover how a grieving widow and a recovering addict built an unlikely alliance. Not through shared grief or romance, but through receipts, relentless documentation, and the quiet conviction that some battles are worth fighting, even when the house always wins. Because sometimes the people dismissed as too old, too broken, or too powerless are exactly the ones who refuse to disappear. Margaret Chen's Honda Civic made a clicking sound when she turned the ignition, the same sound it had made for 3 months, the one the mechanic said would cost $400 to fix, money she didn't have. The November morning was gray, appropriate for visiting ghosts. She drove with Robert's photograph propped against the cup holder, his Navy retirement portrait from 1998. 28 years of service, 14 deployments, a career that had moved them 17 times across 3 continents. The photograph showed him at 51, still straight-backed and serious, the way he looked before the cancer started eating him from the inside. "It's your birthday," Margaret said to the photograph. She'd been talking to him for 8 months now, since April, since the hospice bed and the morphine and the final ragged breath at 3:47 in the morning. 73. You would have hated getting old. The $50 in her wallet represented a choice, groceries or tradition. She'd chosen tradition. Robert would have understood. Silver Bear Tribal Casino sprawled across 30 acres of desert, its neon sign promising fortune to the desperate. Margaret parked in her usual spot, 3rd row near the west entrance, and touched the dog tags hanging around her neck. Robert's tags, warm from her skin, the metal worn smooth by decades of wear and now 8 months of her constant handling. Inside, the casino floor assaulted her senses. Bells and sirens and electronic music, cigarette smoke despite the ventilation, the desperate hope that radiated from every player feeding bills into machines. Margaret walked past the blackjack tables, past the sports book with its wall of television screens, past the cocktail waitresses in their abbreviated uniforms. She didn't make eye contact. She never did. Machine number 47 sat in the back corner of the quarter slots section, Robert's lucky machine. They'd played it together on the 2nd Saturday of every month since his retirement, their ritual. their date night when they couldn't afford restaurants. She'd continued alone since April, feeding in $20, maybe $30, losing it methodically while telling Robert about their grandson's college applications, about selling his woodworking tools to make the mortgage payment, about how the house felt too large and too empty. Today she fed in all $50, watching the reels spin and stop, spin and stop. Other players avoided her. The old Asian woman talking to ghosts, muttering to herself, clutching dog tags like a talisman. Margaret didn't notice. She was explaining to Robert about Julie's phone call last week, how their daughter had suggested selling the house, moving into assisted living, how the suggestion had felt like being erased. At 2:47 p.m., on her final $5 bill, the reels aligned. Triple diamonds, all three. The progressive jackpot. The machine exploded in sound, sirens wailing, lights flashing red and gold. The screen displayed numbers that made no sense. 247,800 jackpot. Margaret's hands shook. She stared at the screen, at the numbers that refused to change, at the crowd beginning to gather. Someone was taking photographs. Someone else was cheering. She touched Robert's dog tags, her fingers finding the worn edges, the familiar grooves of his service number. "Robert," she whispered, "what did you do?" The sirens continued. The lights continued. The numbers stayed impossibly, terrifyingly real. For the first time in 8 months, Margaret Chen felt something other than grief. She felt hope. The celebration lasted 8 minutes. Floor manager Vincent Torres arrived with 2 security guards and a smile that never reached his eyes. He was perhaps 50, handsome in the way of men who spent money on their appearance. His casino vest perfectly pressed, his voice professionally warm. "Mrs. Chen, congratulations. What an incredible moment." He touched her shoulder, a gesture that felt like ownership rather than celebration. "We need to verify the win, standard protocol. If you'll come with us?" Margaret stood, her knees protesting. The crowd parted. Vincent guided her away from the machine, away from the slot floor, past the cashier's cage where she'd imagined collecting her winnings. They walked through an unmarked door, down a hallway that smelled of cleaning products and cigarette smoke, up a staircase to the second floor. The office was windowless, fluorescent bright, containing only a metal desk and 4 chairs. Vincent gestured for her to sit. The security guards remained outside. "Let me call my daughter," Margaret said, reaching for her phone. Of course. Take your time." Julie didn't answer. Margaret left a message, trying to keep her voice steady. "Something's happened at the casino. I need you to call me back." Vincent returned with a younger woman, Dana Whitmore, her name tag said, shift supervisor, and a technician carrying a tablet. They made Margaret wait while they photographed something on the tablet, conferring in voices too low to hear. 43 minutes passed. No one offered water. Margaret's bladder ached, but she didn't ask for the bathroom. She'd learned long ago that asking for things gave people power over you. When Vincent finally sat across from her, his smile had thinned. "Mrs. Chen, I'm afraid there's been a malfunction. The machine's random number generator experienced a software error during this morning's maintenance. The displayed jackpot isn't valid." The words took several seconds to penetrate. "I don't understand." "It's clearly stated in Nevada Gaming Regulation 5.180. Malfunctions void all pays and plays. The win didn't actually occur." "I'm very sorry." Margaret felt something shift inside her chest. Something that might have been rage, except she'd never felt rage before. Only the careful politeness of a Navy wife who'd spent 48 years making herself small. I want to see the malfunction report. Vincent's smile flickered. That's proprietary information, but we want to compensate you for the inconvenience. $500 cash today. I want documentation of this malfunction. Mrs. Chen. Vincent leaned forward, his voice dropping into kindness that felt like threat. You seem like a reasonable woman. These technical issues happen. The important thing is resolving this fairly. Let's say $2,500. That's generous for a quarter slot session. Margaret stood, her hands gripping the edge of the metal desk. I want the malfunction report in writing. The smile vanished entirely. That's not how this works. Then I'll wait until it is. Dana escorted her out through the kitchen exit, away from the casino floor, away from witnesses. Margaret walked through the parking lot as the sun set, turning everything orange and gold. She sat in her Honda and photographed everything. The parking ticket showing 5:23 p.m. Departure. Vincent's business card, the machine number she'd memorized. She opened Robert's photograph on her phone. They think I'm just some old woman who'll go away, she whispered. For the first time since his death, she wasn't crying. She was furious. The parking lot stretched empty in both directions. The casino's neon reflected in puddles from an afternoon rain Margaret hadn't noticed. She sat in her Honda with the engine off, conserving gas, and methodically photographed everything that might matter later. The parking ticket showing 5:23 p.m. departure time. Vincent Torres's business card with its embossed silver lettering. The machine number she'd memorized, 447, written on the back of a grocery receipt. She opened her phone's notes app and typed with careful precision. Arrived 1:30 p.m. Machine number 447, 2:47 p.m. Escorted to office 2:55 p.m. Left casino 5:23 p.m. Her hands had stopped shaking. The rage that had sustained her through Vincent's office now settled into something colder, more useful. She opened Robert's photograph on her phone. The retirement ceremony, his dress blues, the American flag behind him. They think I'm just some old woman who'll go away, she whispered to the photograph. They're wrong about that. A knock on her window made her jump, her phone clattering to the passenger seat. A man stood outside her car, still wearing a casino floor supervisor vest. He was perhaps 58, gray-haired, with the careful posture of someone managing chronic exhaustion. His face carried the weathered look of decades in artificial light and recycled air. Margaret cracked the window 2 inches. Navy wife training, never give strangers full access. Mrs. Chen, his voice was gravelly, careful. I'm Blake Garrison. I worked at Silver Bear. Table game supervisor. I don't want trouble. Neither do I. He held up his hands, showing empty palms. But I watched them walk you out the kitchen exit. That's not protocol for winners. Winners leave through the main floor. Confetti, photographs, free drinks. Margaret studied his face through the gap in the window. His eyes didn't match Vincent's. They held something that looked like shame. Why do you care? Blake glanced back at the casino, then leaned closer. Because I've seen this before. 3 times in 5 years. Always elderly players. Always malfunctions after morning maintenance. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photograph of a service log. Machine number 47. Routine RNG calibration at 9:15 this morning. Certified operational at 10:30. You won at 2:47 p.m., 4.5 hours after certification. Margaret's heart hammered against her ribs. They said it malfunctioned. They always say that. Blake straightened, checking the parking lot again. I need to go before security notices I followed you out. But I risked my job photographing that service log before they lock everything down. He pulled a napkin from his vest pocket. Rosie's Diner, the logo said, and wrote a phone number in careful block letters. If you want to fight this, call me. I'm in recovery. 9 years sober. Part of that is making amends. This counts. He pressed the napkin against her window. Margaret took it, the paper soft from his pocket, the ink still wet. Why would you help me? Blake's expression shifted into something Margaret recognized. The look of someone who'd failed themselves so many times, they'd stopped expecting better. Because I've watched them do this for 12 years. Told myself it wasn't my problem. That the house always wins, fairly or not. He stepped back from her car. I'm tired of being the person who looks away. He walked toward the far end of the parking lot, his supervisor vest bright against the darkening sky. Margaret watched him climb into a Ford pickup truck that had seen better decades. She looked at the napkin, the phone number. Robert's photograph still glowing on her passenger seat. Margaret started her Honda, the clicking sound, the engine catching, and drove home through streets she'd traveled for 23 years. But everything looked different now. She had an ally. Margaret woke at 5 a.m. on Friday to silence that felt wrong. No medication schedule to manage, no oxygen tank to monitor, no hospice nurse arriving at dawn. Robert had been gone 8 months, but some mornings her body still prepared for his care before her mind remembered. She made coffee, the cheap kind, generic brand, and sat at her kitchen table with her laptop. The cursor blinked in the search bar. She typed, "Casino malfunction, jackpot voided." 600,000 results. She clicked through them with mounting horror. Stories from across the country. Seniors told their wins were errors, settlements with NDAs, class action lawsuits dismissed on technicalities. Comment sections filled with contempt. Slot machines are attacks on stupidity. Old people don't understand technology. If you can't afford to lose, don't gamble. At 8:01 a.m., Margaret called the Nevada Gaming Control Board. She was transferred 4 times. Left 3 messages with increasingly skeptical receptionists. No one called back. At 11:47 a.m., Julie finally returned her call. "Mom, I was in a meeting." "What's the emergency?" Margaret explained, choosing words carefully, trying to sound rational rather than desperate. The jackpot, the voiding, the refusal to provide documentation. Julie's silence stretched for 10 seconds. Then, "Mom, if they say it's a malfunction, it probably is. These machines are complicated. You don't understand the technology. I understand $2 million. You never had $2 million. You had a display error." Julie's voice softened into the patient tone she'd used since Robert died. The one that made Margaret feel elderly rather than grieving. "Just take whatever they're offering. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "They offered $2,500. "That's more than you put in, right, Mom? Please, don't embarrass yourself over this." Margaret hung up before she said something she'd regret. Her phone buzzed at 2:34 p.m. Unknown number. Text message. "Are you willing to fight? Meet me tomorrow, 6 a.m., Rosie's Diner on Henderson Road. Bring every receipt you have from the casino, players' card statements, everything. Blake." Margaret stared at the message. She could delete it. Take the $2,500. Listen to Julie. Stop making waves. Instead, she spent Friday night organizing 20 years of documentation. Robert had kept everything. Meticulous spreadsheets tracking their monthly casino visits, win-loss statements printed and filed by year. Their date night calendar, marking every second Saturday with a red star. Margaret had mocked his precision once. Now she blessed it. She found a photograph from their 45th anniversary dinner at the casino steakhouse. Robert in his good sport coat, her in the blue dress she'd worn until it fell apart. Both of them smiling, genuinely smiling, the way people smiled when they had enough. She hadn't smiled like that in 8 months. Margaret set her alarm for 5 a.m. and lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around her. The mortgage was 3 months behind. The property tax bill sat unopened on her counter. Her savings account held $247 and change. She thought about Robert's letter, the one he'd written during his final week. Promise me, just once, fight like hell for something you deserve. At 5 a.m., Margaret woke, dressed, and drove to Rosie's diner through the pre-dawn dark. Blake Garrison sat in a back booth, facing the door, with a canvas bag stuffed with manila folders on the seat beside him. When he saw her walk in carrying her recipe box of documentation, something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe, or recognition. They ordered coffee and got to work. Rosie's diner at 6 a.m. on Saturday smelled of coffee and diesel fuel, the truckers occupying the counter stools with the quiet efficiency of men who'd been awake for hours. Margaret chose a booth in the back corner, her recipe box of documents placed carefully on the cracked vinyl seat beside her. Blake arrived 3 minutes later, a canvas bag slung over his shoulder. He moved with the careful deliberation of someone who'd learned to conserve energy, sliding into the booth across from her and placing the bag between them like an offering. Coffee? The waitress appeared. Donna, her name tag said, with 2 mugs before they answered. Thanks, Donna. Blake doctored his coffee with 3 sugars, methodical. Same as always. Margaret watched this small ritual, the way he knew the waitress's name, the way he stirred precisely 8 times. Recovery rituals, she realized. The small structures that replaced chaos. I don't know what I'm doing, Margaret said. Neither do I. Blake pulled a yellow legal pad from his bag. But I know how casinos work. We start with a timeline, date, machine, number, maintenance records, jackpot amount, their response. He showed her the service log he'd photographed. Machine number 447, routine RNG calibration at 9:15 a.m., certified operational at 10:30 a.m. Margaret's win at 2:47 p.m. 4.5 hours after certification, Blake said. That's not a malfunction window. If the RNG was compromised during maintenance, the certification process would have caught it. If it failed after certification, there would be diagnostic errors recorded. Margaret opened her recipe box. 20 years of documentation organized by date. Robert's spreadsheets tracking every casino visit, their wins and losses meticulously recorded. Win-loss statements printed annually, their calendar marking every second Saturday with a red star. Blake studied the spreadsheets with something like awe. Your husband was thorough. Navy logistics officer for 28 years. He couldn't help himself. Margaret's throat tightened. I used to tease him about it. It's going to save you now. They worked in silence for 30 minutes, building a timeline that told a story in numbers and dates. Then Blake pulled 3 manila folders from his canvas bag. Eleanor Park, $412,000, voided September 2019. Machine number 332. He laid out documentation, a photograph of a service log, handwritten notes with dates and times. Dennis Walsh, $890,000, voided March 2021, machine number 558, deceased June 2022. Another folder, thinner than Eleanor's. Maria Gonzalez, $275,000, voided August 2023. Machine number 447, your machine, deceased November 2024. Margaret stared at the folders. All slot machines? All serviced the morning of their wins, all players over 65. All settled privately or abandoned their claims. Why did you keep these? Blake's jaw worked. He stared at his coffee like it might provide answers. Because I told myself it wasn't my problem. Company man, right? Follow procedures, don't ask questions, cash my paycheck. He looked up, his eyes carrying weight that made Margaret's chest ache. And then I watched you in that parking lot, photographing everything. Not crying, just furious. And I realized I'd become the person I quit drinking to stop being. Margaret touched Robert's dog tags beneath her collar. What do we do now? We contact Eleanor Park, request surveillance footage. They're required to keep it for 90 days. File a formal complaint with the Gaming Commission. Blake pulled out his legal pad again. This will get ugly. They'll offer more money. Your family will pressure you to settle. The casino has resources we don't have. I have Robert's documentation. They have lawyers who bill $800 an hour. Margaret thought about Julie's phone call, about the mortgage payments she couldn't make, about spending her life making herself small so other people could feel comfortable. Can you handle that? Blake asked. Margaret looked at the tone. 3 folders. 3 elderly people told their wins were errors. 2 of them dead now. No one fighting for them. No one even remembering their names except this burned-out casino supervisor who'd kept files he shouldn't have because guilt was easier to live with than conscience. She touched Robert's dog tags again, feeling the worn metal, the grooves of his service number. Watch me. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, the kind of November day that made Margaret's joints ache. She sat at her kitchen table with her laptop, Robert's reading glasses perched on her nose, reviewing the 20-page complaint one final time before sending it. Blake had helped her craft it over the weekend, his insider knowledge transforming her anger into precise regulatory language. Every citation referenced Nevada Gaming Regulation Code. Every allegation included supporting documentation. The complaint requested machine number 447's complete maintenance history, payout records, and surveillance footage from November 14th. At 8:47 a.m., Margaret clicked Submit on the Nevada Gaming Control Board's online portal. She overnighted physical copies to Silver Bear's corporate office and the Tribal Gaming Commission, spending $47.80 she couldn't afford on express delivery and tracking confirmation. Then she waited. Tuesday brought a certified letter from Harrison & Pruitt, a Las Vegas law firm with embossed letterhead that screamed money. The letter was 3 pages of cordial dismissal, acknowledging her complaint, reiterating the malfunction finding, offering no documentation beyond vague references to proprietary diagnostic protocols. Wednesday afternoon, her phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Chen? Nathan Pruitt, Harrison & Pruitt. I represent Silver Bear Casino. His voice carried the warmth of an indulgent grandfather. I've reviewed your complaint. Very thorough. But I'm concerned about the stress this situation is causing you. Margaret's hand tightened on the phone. Blake had warned her about this call. Litigation is expensive and exhausting, Pruitt continued. Discovery takes months. Court dates get postponed. Meanwhile, legal fees accumulate. Even for pro bono cases, there are costs. Filing fees, expert witnesses, depositions. I'm aware of that. Of course you are. You're a smart woman. His tone shifted, became more intimate. Between us, Mrs. Chen, my clients recognize this has been handled poorly. Poor communication, inadequate explanation. They're willing to make a goodwill gesture. $50,000 paid within 30 days. All you need to do is sign a simple release. Margaret looked at Robert's photograph on her refrigerator. His retirement ceremony, full dress blues, the American flag behind him. "I'd like to see the independent engineering report on the malfunction," she said carefully. Silence stretched for 3 seconds. "That's proprietary technical information, Mrs. Chen. But I'm authorized to increase our offer to $75,000 if else you can sign by Friday. That's more than generous for a quarter slot session. I'll need to consult my attorney." "You don't have an attorney." Margaret felt something cold settle in her chest. They'd been watching her, tracking her calls, her filings. "I'll call you back, Mr. Pruitt." She hung up before he could respond. Her hands were shaking again. Not from fear this time, but from the realization of what she was up against. They had lawyers who knew she couldn't afford representation. They were offering enough money to make her problems disappear while making sure she understood the alternative was being crushed. Margaret opened her laptop and typed, "Affordable Attorneys Gaming Law, Nevada." She didn't have a lawyer, but she was going to find one. Julie arrived Thursday evening without calling first. David's rental car pulling into the driveway behind her minivan at 6:47 p.m. Margaret watched from her living room window as her children conferred in the driveway, their breath visible in the cold air before approaching together. An intervention. "Mom, we need to talk." Julie's voice carried the patient firmness she used with her teenagers. They sat at Margaret's kitchen table, the same table where Margaret and Blake had spread their documentation, where Margaret had reviewed legal filings until 2 a.m. David got straight to it. "We talked to the casino's lawyer. $75,000, Mom. That's more than you have in savings. That covers your mortgage for 3 years. "They stole from me," Margaret said quietly. "They say the machine malfunctioned," Julie countered. "You don't understand the technology. These systems are complicated." "I understand $2 million. David leaned forward, his expression somewhere between concern and frustration. "Dad's gone, Mom. You don't have to prove anything to him. You don't have to be the hero of some story he wanted." The words landed like a slap. "Your father asked me to fight for myself once," Margaret said. "Once in 48 years. I'm doing that." "By embarrassing yourself?" Julie pulled out her phone, showed Margaret a Reddit thread titled, "Delusional Grandma Thinks She Won Millions." The comments were vicious. "People are posting about you online, saying you're senile, that you're a gold digger. I don't care what strangers think. We care." Julie's voice cracked. "We care that our mother is on the news, claiming some conspiracy. We care that you're going to lose everything fighting something you can't win." Friday they stayed, taking shifts to talk sense into her. David emphasized the legal costs, the stress, the statistical impossibility of beating casino lawyers. Julie focused on practical concerns, the mortgage, the property taxes, Margaret's blood pressure medication she was rationing to afford. Saturday morning, Julie found Margaret crying over Robert's photograph. "Oh, Mom." Julie wrapped her arms around Margaret's shoulders. "Please, let us handle this. You can rest. You've been through enough." Margaret realized, with sudden clarity, that Julie thought she was breaking, that the tears meant capitulation. Her daughter saw an elderly woman, overwhelmed by circumstances, ready to be rescued. Julie saw exactly what the casino saw, someone manageable. Margaret pulled away gently. "I need some air." She drove to St. Catherine's Church, to the address Blake had given her for his Saturday AA meeting. She waited in her Honda as participants filtered out at noon, until Blake emerged, surprised to see her. "My kids think I should take the money," Margaret said through her cracked window. Blake studied her face. My sponsor thinks I'm replacing one addiction with another. Maybe we both are. Maybe. Margaret opened her car door, stood in the cold parking lot facing him. But some things are worth being obsessed about. Blake nodded slowly. You need a real lawyer. I might know someone. Blake's contact was a 29-year-old attorney named Sarah Vance, who worked out of a legal aid storefront in a strip mall between a payday loan office and a nail salon. Margaret arrived Monday morning expecting skepticism. She got fury instead. Sarah spread Margaret's documentation across a metal desk scarred by coffee rings and angry pens. 20 years of casino records, Blake's service logs, the pattern of voided jackpots. Her fingers moved quickly, professionally, flipping through pages while making notes in precise handwriting. This is elder financial exploitation, Sarah said finally. Her voice was sharp, educated, carrying the intensity of someone who hadn't yet learned that outrage exhausted you faster than injustice. Possibly fraud, definitely systematic. Can you help me? Sarah looked up. She wore a gray suit that had seen better years, her dark hair pulled back severely, no jewelry except small gold studs. Pro bono. But you need to understand what you're signing up for. Discovery will be brutal. They'll bury us in motions. We'll need an expert witness we can't afford. I understand. Do you? Sarah's expression softened slightly. My grandmother lost a workers' comp case she should have won because she couldn't afford good representation. I watched it break her. I won't lie to you about our chances, Mrs. Chen, but I will work harder than their $800 an hour attorneys. Margaret touched Robert's dog tags beneath her collar. When do we start? Over Thanksgiving week. Margaret didn't attend Julie's dinner. They weren't speaking. Sarah filed a civil complaint alleging breach of contract, unjust enrichment, and elder abuse. She requested surveillance footage from November 14th, machine number 447's complete service history, and records of all voided jackpots since 2018. The casino's response arrived Monday. Motion to dismiss, claiming tribal sovereign immunity, arguing malfunction findings were unreviewable under gaming regulations. Wednesday, December 4th, Channel 8 News ran a story. Margaret watched herself on television, gray-haired, small, holding Robert's photograph. The reporter was sympathetic but skeptical. Local widow claims casino cheated her out of millions. The online comments section appeared on Margaret's laptop screen like a chorus of contempt. Gold digger. Senile old bat. Slot machines are a tax on stupidity. Someone posted a meme, Margaret's driver's license photo with the caption, "When you don't understand how technology works." Her phone buzzed at 8:47 p.m. Blake, screenshot attached. Someone had posted her home address on Reddit with the suggestion that concerned citizens should help her understand reality. Margaret stared at her address floating in cyberspace, an invitation to harassment. Her hands were shaking again. She called Sarah. I saw it, Sarah said without preamble. I've already filed a police report and contacted Reddit's legal team. Margaret, this is going to get worse before it gets better. Are you sure? I'm sure. But that night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, Margaret wasn't sure of anything, except that she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. The world knew her name now. The world had opinions about her sanity, her motives, her worth. The world, she was learning, could be remarkably cruel to old women who refused to disappear quietly. Thursday night, Margaret woke to the sound of eggs shattering against her windows. By the time she reached the front door, a car was speeding away, leaving shells and yolk sliding down the glass. spray painted across her garage door in red. "Drop it." She called Blake with shaking hands. He arrived in 14 minutes, helped her clean the mess in the cold November darkness. He stayed on her couch until dawn, a baseball bat propped against the coffee table, neither of them sleeping. Friday brought worse news. Margaret's mortgage company called. Someone had reported she was involved in litigation against a tribal casino. They were reviewing her loan for increased risk assessment. Then Julie called, crying. "People at work saw you on TV. They're asking if our family is suing for money. My kids are getting teased at school. Mom, please stop this." Margaret sat at her kitchen table, staring at Robert's photograph, and felt something inside her crack. Maybe Julie was right. Maybe this was grief-driven delusion. Maybe she should take whatever money remained on the table and disappear back into the quiet anonymity she'd occupied her entire life. Blake found her there Saturday morning, still in her bathrobe at 10 a.m., the coffee pot empty, her eyes red. "Eleanor Park," he said quietly. "She's still alive. Let's find her." They spent Saturday afternoon at the Henderson Public Library, using public records databases and Blake's network of former casino employees. Eleanor Park, age 83, voided jackpot 2019. Last known address, her daughter's home in Henderson. Current address, Sunset Hills Assisted Living. Sunday morning, they drove to Sunset Hills without calling ahead. The facility smelled of industrial cleaner and overcooked vegetables. Eleanor sat in her room, private, small, filled with photographs of a life that had been full, connected to oxygen, her hands gnarled with arthritis. "You're the woman from the news," Eleanor said. Her voice was thin but sharp, her eyes calculating behind thick glasses. "Silver Bear Casino. Machine malfunction." "They did the same thing to you," Margaret said. Eleanor's expression transformed. Something that might have been vindication or rage, or both. "They offered me $100,000. My daughter made me take it, made me sign papers saying I'd never talk about what happened." She reached for a wooden box on her nightstand, her movements slow but deliberate. "But I kept everything. Because I knew I wasn't crazy." The box contained 4 years of documentation, service logs Eleanor had photographed with a disposable camera, her handwritten timeline, dates and times recorded with accounting precision, witness statements from other players who'd seen her win, even the settlement agreement with its comprehensive NDA. Eleanor handed Blake a flash drive, her hands trembling. "Machine number 332, September 14th, 2019, $412,000. That machine worked perfectly. They stole from me because they thought I'd die before I could fight back." Margaret took Eleanor's hand, feeling the fragile bones beneath papery skin. "We're going to make them answer for it," Margaret said. Eleanor smiled, genuinely smiled, for the first time in 4 years. About damn time someone did. Monday morning, Sarah filed an amended complaint with Eleanor's evidence attached. Pattern of practice, multiple victims. Statistical impossibility of coincidental malfunctions across different machines, different years, serviced by different technicians, but voided using identical language. The casino's response arrived Thursday. 47 pages of technical documentation from Garrison Technical Associates, an independent gaming systems auditor based in Las Vegas. Sarah called Margaret at 6:32 p.m., her voice carrying a weight Margaret hadn't heard before. "They have an engineering report. It's detailed, Margaret. Very detailed. Claims machine 447 and 2 others experienced cascading RNG failures due to a software update on November 13th through 14th. The failures were undetectable during standard certification but caused false jackpots. Can we challenge it? Silence stretched for 5 seconds. We'd need our own expert. That costs $15,000 minimum. We don't have that. Margaret felt the floor shift beneath her. Blake knows people. Maybe. I tried calling him. He's not answering. Friday evening, Margaret drove to Blake's apartment complex. The landlord, a tired woman in her 60s, said Blake had left Wednesday night with a duffel bag, looking rough. Asked him if everything was okay. He didn't answer. Margaret called Marcus, Blake's sponsor. They met at a coffee shop, Marcus's expression grave before Margaret even sat down. Blake stopped coming to meetings 2 weeks ago. I should have pushed harder. Marcus stared at his coffee like it held answers. He called Tuesday night, rambling about the casino destroying people, about how the system always wins. Classic pre-relapse talk. I told him to come to a meeting. He said he would. He lied. Margaret's stomach dropped. Where would he go? Where every alcoholic goes when they're done fighting. Friday at 11 p.m., Margaret found Blake's Ford pickup in the parking lot of the Gold Strike, a dingy bar 3 blocks from Silver Bear Casino. She walked inside, past the cigarette haze and the lottery machines, and found him at the bar. Empty glasses surrounded him like accusations. 6 of them, maybe 7. Blake stared at machine number 447's photograph on his phone, his eyes unfocused, his hands unsteady. They already won, he said without looking up. His voice was thick, slurred. They always win. Engineering report, expert testimony, money, resources. They bury us, and we pretend it's justice. Margaret sat beside him. The bartender glanced over, questioning. She shook her head. You taught me to document everything, Margaret said quietly. You showed me how to fight. I showed you how to lose slowly. Blake finally looked at her, his eyes carrying 9 years of sobriety drowning in defeat. I'm risking everything. My job, my recovery, my future, for a fight we're going to lose anyway. That engineering report is bulletproof. Sarah said so. Sarah said we need our own expert. With what money? Blake laughed, bitter and broken. I'm a casino floor supervisor who makes $42,000 a year. You're living on Social Security. We're trying to fight a corporation with lawyers who bill more per hour than I make in a day. Margaret touched his shoulder. He flinched away. Go home, Margaret. Take whatever money they're still offering. Buy yourself 3 years of mortgage payments and some peace. Is that what you do? Blake stared at his reflection in the bar mirror. I already did. Saturday morning arrived cold and clear, the December sun doing nothing to warm the frozen ground. Margaret's phone rang at 7:23 a.m. Marcus, his voice tight with worry. Blake's truck is at Mountain View Cemetery. He's not answering his phone. Margaret drove through empty streets, her hands steady on the wheel despite the fear knotting her stomach. She found Blake sitting at Robert's grave, sober but hollow-eyed, his truck keys in his lap. She sat beside him on the frozen earth without speaking. Her joints protested, the cold seeping through her coat, but she stayed. I drank last night, Blake said finally. His voice was raw, scraped clean. First time in 9 years. Sat in that bar and ordered whiskey and told myself I deserved it. That I'd earned one night of not caring. Did it help? No. Blake laughed, bitter and broken. It just reminded me why I stopped. I woke up this morning in my truck, head pounding, phone full of messages I don't remember sending. And I thought about that engineering report, about how they've already won, how they always win. Margaret touched Robert's dog tags beneath her collar, feeling the worn metal, the familiar weight. Robert's doctors gave him 6 months, she said quietly. They had treatment plans, clinical trials, aggressive chemotherapy that might buy him time. He chose to do it all. Every appointment, every needle, every indignity. Blake turned to look at her, his eyes red-rimmed. He didn't have 6 months. He had 3 weeks, but he spent them fighting anyway. Not because he thought he'd win, but because that's who he was. He refused to surrender just because the odds were bad. She pulled a letter from her coat pocket. Worn paper, Robert's handwriting shaky from morphine and exhaustion. He wrote this his last week, made me promise I'd read it after he was gone. Her voice cracked but held. He said I spent my whole life making things easier for everyone else, that I'd never demanded anything for myself. He made me promise, just once, fight like hell for something I deserve. Blake took the letter with trembling hands, read Robert's final words to his wife. "I'm risking everything," Blake whispered. "My sobriety, my future, whatever credibility I have left. For a fight we're probably going to lose." "Probably." Margaret stood, offering her hand. "But not certainly. And even if we lose, we'll have fought. That counts for something." Blake let her pull him to his feet. Sunday afternoon found them at Rosie's Diner, their refuge, their war room. Blake's hands shook as he poured coffee, but his eyes were clear-eyed and committed. "I'll testify," he said. "I'll go to meetings every day. I'll do whatever it takes to stay sober through this. But Margaret, I know." She opened her laptop, pulled up Channel 8, Channel 8 News' website. "We need to stop waiting for rescue." She typed an email requesting a full interview. No more hiding, no more apologizing. If the casino wanted to dismiss her as a confused old woman, she'd make them do it on camera. Blake read over her shoulder. "They'll come after you harder." "Let them." Margaret hit send. "I'm done being invisible." Margaret's interview aired Monday evening at 6 p.m., 15 minutes that felt like stepping off a cliff. She sat in her living room, dressed in the blue blouse Julie had bought her for Christmas 3 years ago, and told her story to a camera that would broadcast it across Nevada. The reporter was young, sympathetic, professional. She asked about Robert, about the jackpot, about why Margaret refused to settle. "They're counting on me being too old, too poor, and too scared to fight," Margaret said, looking directly into the lens. "They're wrong about that." She held up Robert's photograph, his retirement ceremony, dress blues, American flag. This man served his country for 28 years. He deserved better than watching our savings drain away, while casino executives protected their profits. Her voice didn't shake. Her hands stayed steady. "If you've been told your jackpot was a malfunction, contact me." She provided Sarah's office number. "You're not alone. You're not crazy. And you're not too old to fight back." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Tuesday morning, Sarah called at 8:47 a.m., her voice carrying exhausted excitement. 37 calls since last night. Most are cranks, people who lost fair and square and want to blame someone. But 2 are solid. Kenneth Torres, 77, voided jackpot of $680,000 in 2020. He'd accepted a $50,000 settlement, signed an NDA, and spent 3 years regretting it. Now terminal cancer had freed him from caring about consequences. He wanted to testify. Lisa Brennan's mother, coincidentally also named Margaret, had won $275,000 in 2023, had it voided, died 6 months later. Lisa had kept everything: her mother's documentation, the settlement offer, the NDA she'd refused to sign. Wednesday, Sarah filed an emergency motion to add these cases as evidence of systematic fraud. The pattern was undeniable now. 5 elderly victims across 6 years. All machines serviced the morning of their wins. All pressured into silence or death. Thursday afternoon, December 19th, Margaret's phone rang. Nevada Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. They were opening a formal investigation into Silver Bear's malfunction protocols and voiding practices since 2015. Within an hour, Nathan Pruitt called. His grandfatherly warmth had vanished, replaced by naked calculation. $500,000, Mrs. Chen. Final offer. Full release, comprehensive NDA. This expires at 5 p.m. Friday. Margaret looked at Robert's photograph on her refrigerator, at Eleanor's flash drive sitting beside her laptop, at the list of elderly victims whose names deserve to be remembered. "No," she said. "You're making a mistake. I've made plenty of those." Margaret touched the dog tags around her neck. "This isn't one of them." She hung up before he could respond. That evening, Margaret, Blake, Sarah, and Eleanor, connected via video from Sunset Hills, met virtually to prepare for the hearing. Eleanor's oxygen hissed softly through the speakers. "We're going to win," Eleanor said, her voice thin but fierce. "Or, we're going to make them bleed trying to beat us." Margaret smiled, genuinely smiled, for the first time in weeks. "Either way," she said, "we fight." The Nevada Gaming Control Board hearing room smelled of wood polish and nervous sweat. Margaret sat at the petitioner's table, Sarah beside her arranging folders with methodical precision. Across the aisle, 3 attorneys from Harrison and Pruitt occupied twice the space, their leather briefcases gleaming like armor. The commission chairman, gray-haired, skeptical, reviewed the docket. Case number 2025-1947, Chen versus Silver Bear Tribal Casino. Sarah presented first, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The timeline, the service logs. 5 elderly victims across 6 years, all machines certified operational hours before wins were voided. Statistical analysis showing clustering around maintenance windows that defied probability. The casino's lead attorney stood, polished, confident. He presented the Garrison technical report like scripture, 47 pages documenting cascading RNG failures, undetectable during standard certification, causing false jackpots across 3 machines. His expert witness, Dr. Raymond Garrison, testified via video about corrupted random number generation algorithms. By lunch, Margaret felt the case slipping away. Technical jargon overwhelmed common sense. The commissioner's expressions turned glazed. Tuesday afternoon, Blake took the stand. He'd been fired December 21st for performance issues. He wore his only suit. Too large now, weight lost to stress and sobriety meetings. His hands shook slightly as he swore the oath. Sarah walked him through 12 years of casino protocols. How legitimate malfunctions were handled. Transparent documentation, immediate gaming commission notification, independent examination before voiding any win over $10,000. "And these cases?" Sarah asked. Blake's voice strengthened. "Different. Players isolated immediately, pressured to settle within hours. Documentation destroyed before independent review. I watched it happen 5 times. I said nothing because I needed my job." The casino's attorney attacked during cross-examination. Blake's addiction history, his recent relapse, his termination for cause. "You're bitter," the attorney suggested, "creating conspiracy theories to explain your firing." Blake looked at Margaret. She touched Robert's dog tags beneath her collar. "I'm an addict," Blake said quietly. "I've lied to protect my disease. But I'm not lying now. I kept those files because I knew someday someone would be brave enough to fight back." The hearing recessed at 4 p.m. Wednesday morning brought Eleanor Park via video link from Sunset Hills. Oxygen hissed softly through the speakers. She held her flash drive like evidence at Nuremberg. "I'm 83 years old," Eleanor said, her voice thin but fierce. "I've got COPD, arthritis, maybe 6 months left. But I'm not stupid and I'm not confused." She walked the commission through her documentation. September 14th, 2019, Machine 332, $412,000. Photographs of the screen, witness statements, the settlement she'd signed under pressure, the NDA that kept her silent for 4 years. "They stole from me because they thought I'd die before I could fight back." Eleanor's eyes blazed. "Maybe I will. But at least I'll die telling the truth." The hearing room fell silent. Wednesday afternoon, Sarah approached the witness stand, like a boxer entering the ring. Dr. Raymond Garrison appeared via video. Expensive suit, expensive office. The confidence of 17 previous reports finding malfunctions. Sarah established his credentials methodically. PhD in computer engineering from MIT. 20 years consulting for gaming companies. 17 malfunction reports, all concluding in favor of casino clients. $85,000 fee for the Silver Bear analysis. Dr. Garrison, when did you physically examine Machine 447? He hesitated, microseconds stretching. "I reviewed extensive documentation and diagnostic logs provided by Silver Bear's technical team." "But when did you physically examine the actual machine?" "Physical examination wasn't necessary, given the comprehensive digital records." "Yes or no, Dr. Garrison? Did you examine Machine 447? "No, but..." Sarah moved to the evidence table, lifting a document. "December 1st, the casino destroyed Machine 447 per standard replacement protocols. You were hired December 3rd. How did you diagnose a malfunction in a machine that no longer existed?" The video feed showed Garrison's face tightening. The diagnostic logs were sufficient. Logs provided exclusively by the casino whose malfunction claim you were hired to verify? Sarah's voice rose. "Logs that Blake Garrison testified are routinely altered before independent review?" The commission chairman leaned forward. "Dr. Garrison, you're telling us you diagnosed a mechanical malfunction without examining the mechanism based solely on data provided by the party claiming the malfunction? Standard industry practice?" "For $75,000, Sarah interrupted. "How many times have you found no malfunction after being hired by a casino, doctor?" Silence stretched like a wound. "Never," Garrison admitted finally. Thursday morning, the commission reconvened. The chairman read the ruling for 40 minutes, technical language about burden of proof and evidentiary standards. Then the conclusion: insufficient evidence supports Silver Bear's malfunction claim. The pattern of voided jackpots following morning maintenance, the destruction of physical evidence, and the reliance on purchased testimony suggests systematic exploitation rather than technical failure. Margaret Chen's jackpot is declared valid. Silver Bear Casino is ordered to pay $2,347,800 plus 10% interest. Total award, $2,582,580. Margaret's hands found the table edge. The room tilted. The casino's attorney stood immediately. "We intend to appeal this decision to district court." But Sarah was already moving. She'd prepared for this. By Friday afternoon, Channel 8 aired Kenneth Torres's interview. Terminal cancer, voided jackpot, His deathbed testimony. Social media erupted. The Nevada Attorney General announced a formal investigation into all voided jackpots since 2015. Saturday morning, the tribal council overrode casino management and settled. 6 months later, Margaret and Blake sat at Rosie's diner at 6 a.m., their ritual unchanged except for purpose. Margaret's laptop displayed a database they'd built. 43 suspicious malfunction claims across Nevada since 2015. The Robert Chen Gaming Advocacy Fund operated from a small office downtown. Margaret as director, Blake as lead investigator, Sarah as legal counsel. Blake poured coffee with steady hands. 9 months sober now. He attended AA daily, sponsored 2 people himself, and carried Marcus's words like armor. Recovery isn't perfection, it's returning to principles after failing. Margaret reviewed the Reno case. 79-year-old veteran, 800,000 voided, machine destroyed before examination. The pattern was familiar, almost comforting in its predictability. They're claiming software update caused false payout, Blake said, reading over her shoulder. Same language as yours. Margaret touched Robert's dog tags, still warm against her chest. She'd scattered his ashes at the beach last month, Julie and David with her, relationships healing slowly through actions rather than words. They didn't understand her choices, but they'd stopped dismissing them. Eleanor had died in March, peacefully, her testimony preserved in official transcripts. Margaret kept Eleanor's photograph on her desk beside Robert's. "We should visit him tomorrow," Margaret said. The veteran, "Bring documentation from similar cases." Blake nodded, making notes in his careful handwriting. The job offer had saved him, not the salary, though $65,000 felt like wealth, but the purpose. He had a reason to stay sober that transcended fear of consequences. People needed him functional, sharp, present. Margaret's phone buzzed. Julie sending photographs of Margaret's grandson at college orientation. Making amends through small gestures, acknowledging she'd been wrong about her mother's capacity. The diner filled with morning regulars. Donna refilled their coffee without asking, part of their routine now. "They'll always claim malfunction," Blake said quietly. Margaret opened her case file, already planning their approach. Strategy sessions at this table had become sacred. Their morning meeting, their check-in, their reminder that family wasn't just blood, but shared mission and hard-won trust. She smiled, genuine, peaceful, the expression Robert would have recognized from their early marriage when the world felt conquerable. Then we'd better prove them wrong. Outside, dawn broke over Henderson, turning the desert gold. Margaret and Blake bent over their laptops, building cases, documenting patterns, preparing to fight for people the system had already written off. The house didn't always win anymore. Sometimes the house had to answer to a 71-year-old widow and a recovering addict who'd learned that redemption meant showing up, documenting everything, and refusing to let anyone disappear quietly.